taking a quick look at this facelift on the Jetta. This is a much needed facelift. So yeah, it looks fantastic now, doesn't it? You see the biggest difference is we do get this trim piece they've added. Because again, with this being a facelift, it's not an all new model. They're not going to spend money to kind of retool all the big parts here, like the hood and the front. They got to kind of make do with how it was. So they added that trim piece there, as you see, kind of a filler. And what does that do? It ends up slimming down the headlights a lot. And this is going to give it a more aggressive, more modern look for sure. And then the bumper too, you can see they tweaked that. You know, compared to this was, you know, I got to say the Jetta was definitely one of the ugliest cars, new cars on sale. You know, a lot of people, they might not like to hear that. You know, they might give this video a thumbs down just because I said that. Well, you know, okay, number one, it's my opinion. And number two, look at this thing. Look at this thing. We had these like huge headlights that flowed into this ginormous grill. Right? And, you know, it just got worse. It actually got worse on the back here too. Because all the Jettas I've seen, they actually have like this orange section right here, which really makes it look dated and cheap. So I don't know if I'm just imagining that, but in this photo it actually doesn't look too bad. But I mean, just look how small the wheels are in proportion to the rest of the car. Clearly, they must have just been thinking this thing was just going to be sold as like a rental fleet. No one would actually want to buy this thing. But now, guess what? You you might want to actually buy this thing because this is really impressive. I mean, as I talked about, a facelift is actually a minor change. But somehow they've kind of transformed this design into something actually appealing. And this is a new color, by the way, as well. So, and then on the back here, this is the big change. The taillight goes all the way across now, which is kind of, you know, that's the trend, isn't it? Everybody's doing that. And, well, that's really the biggest change. But it does kind of help this design look not just more modern, but as I said, it doesn't look so cheap. Now, on the inside, the changes here, it's kind of a mixed bag. We do get a restyled dash, and it's got this like Toyota Camry style section over by the passenger area that kind of flows into the vents. The problem with this design is there's so much black plastic, that kind of piano gloss black plastic, and there's just so much of it and all these different surfaces and textures. And then they combine that with this bezel style, iPad style touchscreen. So you can see that this is the bezel, and then it's still the old screen right here. So this is where, you know, like all the new cars basically on sale, they just integrate the screen into whatever part there is. There's not two different pieces like that. So that's where I would say, honestly, I don't know. I think they should have just left that part how it was. If they're going to use the same screen, I think it seems like it kind of filled that area and fit into that design a little bit better. But I don't know. I mean, maybe from the driver's seat, you wouldn't notice that as much because the wheel's going to block this, at least this side of it. So you're not going to really notice the bezel and then the separate screen area as much, I guess. I don't know. You let me know what you guys think of that. And then we do get these updated climate controls. These actually look fantastic. Now, I don't know if you're a fan of these kind of, you know, it's this where you slide your finger. You know, you're going to have to slide your finger left or right, just like all the other Volkswagen models. But guess what? There's actually an improvement here. These do light up at night, as you can kind of see there, the blue and the red. And then also what's nice about this design is the fan selector is actually separate. You can see it up here. It's up. It's on like a different layer, a different level. So that's where a lot of the other Volkswagen models, they have this all kind of thrown together on one level, one layer, which just made it even worse. And a lot of those models, they didn't light up at night. So you were just kind of randomly swiping your finger somewhere over there, trying to make a change, and then you know what would happen. And by the way, the standard model here too does have regular buttons on the steering wheel. Now, That's not the case for the GLI. You know, we're getting we're getting to the GLI. Actually, you know, hey, you know, let's talk about the GLI right now. So yeah, it's got the same. You can see that it's got the same new look on the front end, and of course on a sportier model, these slimmer, more aggressive headlights really are going to look fantastic. And by the way, this part of the grille here, you know, this is a daytime shot, so you can't see it too much, but that light bar in the center does light up as well to kind of complete the look all the way across and kind of match the design here. You can see it mimics this red splitter area that carries all the way through. You can see that it's the same shape, same design as the daytime running light. So I think that actually, I've never been a big fan of these red accents. I thought honestly, it just made, like I said, this car in general didn't look that great. It just made it look kind of tacky and cheap. But it works on this new design. I got to say, it does. I would still prefer all this to be black, but it doesn't look bad. And of course, you know, it's to match the red brake calipers that they threw on this thing. Now, they do say these brakes are bigger than the standard brakes, but you can see that there's nothing special about them. So again, I don't know. It just looks like a standard brake caliper that's red, like that someone just painted it red themselves. So I really wish they'd offer like a blackout package for this, because this car actually is quite appealing now. You know, it's got there's nothing new with the powertrain, but that's always been good. You know, 230 horsepower, turbocharged, and you can get any transmission you want with this thing. We'll talk about that more here in a second. So, and then by the way, yes, it still has the adaptive dampers. It's still got the limited slip diff up front as well. So yeah, it kind of, the performance is there, and now the look is there as well. And you know, the kind of a funny little Easter egg here, they've thrown this "Let's Go" and this little Autobahn icon in the front grille there. So actually, this is kind of a fun little detail. I think that's kind of cool. Now, a change that I'm not too happy with is they threw on this little, it's just like this standard GLI badge. They just threw it on the door, whereas the old model actually, it had this nice little like fender, integrated fender badge that looked, not only did it just look nice, it fit in with this design as well, because as you can see, this design element that runs down the side is very pronounced. And it just made sense. Whereas now, it's just, I don't know. They just throw like a regular badge on there. So again, they didn't need to make that change. But on the backside, we do get the same, you know, taillight that runs all the way across. If you got a keen eye, you might notice that they actually changed this part though. It says GLI in the center of the taillight instead of Jetta, like the standard models do. And then the rear bumper is basically unchanged, which is really good news, because this rear bumper actually looked fantastic. Not only just very sporty, attractive. I love these exhaust tips as well. And you know, the best part is it didn't have any red. It doesn't have any of that red accent. You can see this is the older model. It didn't have any of the red accents thrown on there. And the good news on the inside is that there's not much of the tacky red stuff either. You know, there's red stitching, which always looks great, you know, especially in like a black interior. So there's red stitching everywhere, basically, even on the dash, even on this part running all the way across the dash here. So the only kind of like red accents they've thrown in on here, you know, is right on the steering wheel here. So that actually is, it doesn't look bad. It's kind of just a nice sporty little touch. Now, as I mentioned, yeah, there's still the capacitive buttons on the wheel of the GLI for some reason. But, you know, and then, yeah, the seats, you know, the red stitching, as I mentioned. I don't know, you know, you got the black headliner. It's kind of like a two-tone too, isn't it? Like a dark gray and like a medium gray. It looks very nice. And then, of course, the big news is, yes, as I kind of alluded to earlier, you can still get this GLI with a 6-speed manual. In fact, this is the only way you can get a 6-speed manual. There's no like standard Jetta with a manual anymore. If you want the manual, you got to go GLI. So you can still get the dual clutch too, by the way. But yeah, I would recommend, honestly, I'd recommend going for this one. The only thing I don't like about the shifters, Why is it why is it so big? It's like this huge truck style shifter. I don't know, like, have you ever seen a shifter in like a Honda? Like, look at this. You can see it's just, that's all you need. It just slide right into the palm of your hand. That's it.